Hello everyone, SwitchX receives quite a few buffs in the next title update, and here they are. Let's go over them and see what we have here, and I'd love to discuss it with you right now, but also after the buffs take effect, of course. Only buffs, not a single nerf by the way. Number 1. It is now easier to adjust your distance to monsters when using Unbridled Slash or Full Release Slash while in focus mode. So this first buff is affecting FRS, which won't sit right with some people, but it is just a small quality of life change to make it more reliable, especially when using it after a discharge. And the second buff kinda plays into that a little. Number 2. The backward movement triggered by element discharge finisher can now be reduced slightly by tilting the left stick in the play character's direction. Another very minor quality of life change, I guess. Personally, I don't use the standard discharge that much, but maybe I should. But it's not optimal. Oh yeah, I forgot. I guess I'm not allowed to use it then. Oh well. Also, I hope this affects the Focus Strike discharge finisher. Now we only need something for ZSD. Now it gets more interesting though. Number 3. Significantly increased the elemental scaling of follow-up explosions from sword attacks when using element files. What does significantly increased mean? No idea. We'll have to wait for the update to drop to get the actual values, but buffs to element files are always welcome. And any buff not affecting full release is also welcome, so this is a perfectly fine win for us and may be enough to make elemental files favorable again in more matchups. And yeah, follow-up explosions from sword attacks basically just means end state, if I'm not mistaken. End state isn't mentioned here, but I don't know what else they could mean by follow-up explosions from sword attacks. I usually call them file bursts, which sounds cooler. Number 4. Significantly increased the elemental scaling of follow-up explosions from Unbridled Slash, Full Release Slash, and X follow-up morph slash when using element files. God damn it. A buff to full release, but I guess it makes sense and only affects elemental files, so yeah, it does tie in with the last buff. Anyway, even more damage with elemental files, nice change overall, and again may lead to elemental files seeing more use. Number 5. X follow-up heavy slam and X follow-up morph slash raw damage has been increased. A simple damage buff making offsets more rewarding, very nice. I really love doing offsets and it is nice seeing those be more damaging, especially since offsets are a bit harder to land with Switch X than with other weapons, since you can't hold it or anything. Number 6. The amount of Switch Gauge recovered when performing basic attacks in X mode has been increased. A very welcome change, and it may lift the burden of having to fish for the Spiral Burst slash as much as possible. I'll take any buff to X mode, even if it means earlier access again to Sword mode, so yeah, just a nice change. I hope it is very noticeable on all attacks that aren't Spiral Burst, and I wish especially Wild Swing would get a massive buff in anything, be it damage or switch gauge build-up, so the move is actually somewhat useful again. Number 7. Increased the raw damage and amp gauge recovery of X morph rising double slash and reduced its switch gauge consumption. Also a decent buff, a step in the right direction for sure. Morph double rising slash can be performed after spiral burst slash or after a heavy slam, and buffs to morph slashes also mean buffs to rapid morph, or a higher effectiveness of rapid morph I should say, and less power to the FRS spam without nerfing it, so win-win. Number 8. Sword triple slash raw damage and engage recovery amount have been increased. Another nice buff to sword mode, even though I think X mode could really use some more damage, but okay. Triple slash can be performed after left rising slash or right after the morph rising double slash. So there may be an interesting chain forming here for amp gauge build-up and maybe even damage, but as I said earlier, Capcom doesn't give us exact numbers and just says increased, significantly increased and so on, so we have to wait a bit for proper details. Number 9. The amount of switch gauge consumed when performing sword overhead slash has been decreased. Very specific buff, but the overhead slash does consume a small chunk of switch gauge and you perform it somewhat regularly. This one is just whatever, I guess. I really don't have much to say about this one. I'll take it though, and I guess it does not include the morph overhead slash, because they would have mentioned it, maybe? Number 10. fixed an issue where the damage scaling from Rapid Morph skill was not being applied to jumping Morph Slash when performed upon landing. Not really a buff, rather than a small bug fix, I suppose, but okay. I think Rapid Morph still doesn't work 100% correctly in terms of animation frames being reduced as advertised or whatever, but I'll play around with it regardless. So yeah, those are 10 improvements to Switch X coming with Title Update 2. Overall, I wanna say it is a step in the right direction. The biggest issue is the over-reliance on full release slash, and it has been slightly addressed. We had buffs to elemental files, which included FRS however. We have easier switch gauge build-up, some damage increases on certain attacks, quality of life adjustments, so yeah, a step in the right direction, but we aren't quite there yet, I'm afraid. We have to wait how this plays out in the end, but I'm not sure if these changes will make FRS spam any less effective. But it is all about lifting up other playstyles to make them worth it and not nerfing FRS into the ground so nobody uses it anymore. A link to the patch notes is in the pinned comment and the description for you to read. And I haven't talked about the title update itself because I saw the reveal live yesterday and I'm simply speechless. After over a decade, like 14 years or so, I get to face Legiacrus again. I started with Monster Hunter Tri, so this title absolutely holds a special place in my heart. So does the Switch X, which has been introduced in Tri as well, and so was Legiacrus of course. I couldn't be more excited for him, and Seregios as well. Absolutely, but I don't feel as attached to Steve as I do to Legiacrus and Tri, but Seregios is cool as hell too, and I just can't wait. I will do a live stream again and be more active overall, upload more, and I love everything about the upcoming update. It has everything I could ask for in a title update. Legiacrus, another super cool monster to hunt, buffs to my favorite weapon, layered weapons, other adjustments mentioned in the patch notes, which are nice. Arc-tempered with Duna is coming, and yeah. I know the game has its issues, there's lots to talk or bitch and cry about, rightfully so, especially performance on PC, which luckily for me personally doesn't affect me, but I know many people can't play the game properly at the moment, but right now, just for this short moment from the reveal to the first day the update drops, I don't care. I'm excited for the update and I don't want to shove all the problems under the rug and ignore them, but right now I'm just excited to get more of this game. Tell me what you're most excited about and let's discuss Switch X some more in the comments, and I hope to see you on the next video. Happy hunting everyone!